start up and I'll just see if I can figure it out on this end, Ross.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. Hi, Bren.
He's muted.
Apparently.
Hello.
Oh, there she is. How are you?
Muted again.
That's kind of weird. My computer's doing weird stuff now. Okay, cool. Bren, you're welcome to turn on your video if you want. Otherwise, you can stay incognito. Whatever you feel the most comfortable with. The system, if you want to talk, that's great. If you just want to use the chat with your questions and comments, that's great as well. Whatever you're the most comfortable with.
Thanks.
So I know we had a few weeks ago, we had somebody who was on the call for like 45 minutes before he finally said something and then turned on his camera, and then we went another 45 minutes after that. So sometimes it just needs some time to warm up. That's good. Gary is kind of playing with this streaming thing. It worked yesterday and now it has changed again. Facebook changes their algorithms, I think, on an hourly basis at this particular point, as we're noticing. So things aren't always working exactly the way they're supposed to work. But we are recording this, so if for whatever reason we can't stream it, then we'll just simply post it after the fact, which works good too. So today, so Brent, just to kind of give you an idea, I'm not sure if you've been on before. We just kind of seed the topic for the day, but that's why the reason we call this a rabbit hole is because it can go in any direction. If there's something that you would prefer to discuss, we can go in that direction. Right now, though, we are looking at possibly having a discussion around those days or those moments in our lives that were life-changing. They caused a major shift in the direction of your life. And those can be traumas, they can be bad events, and they can be good events. And it's different for everybody. Everybody has their own perception of how an event feels or what it means to them. I could give you a list of 5 things in my life that I said, oh, these are great, and you might go, that's terrible. That's terrible. It's just all about how we perceive that particular event for ourselves. And obviously, if the event, whatever it may be, did cause a shift in the direction that your life was going, then that's your perception. Some people could say, well, that's no big thing. That wouldn't affect me. But for you, or, for Gary or myself or Hector, I mean, it could be like, oh my God, that's just so traumatic. Oh my gosh, how did you survive? And does any of this kind of ring a bell, stimulate something for you, either of you?
Well, I have too many. So let's go with Brent. Brent, speak up. I take up the whole hour, and that's too much.
Nothing comes to mind right now. That's great. Not a problem.
Ren says yoga teacher training in the text. Yeah, so here's, I don't know what's going on because I tried even with YouTube and it wouldn't let me do YouTube either to stream through there. So I'm not sure what's going on, but I definitely tested it on one of my like dummy pages yesterday on Facebook groups, pages, sorry. And it did stream through and went onto the page, and I had to delete the video, and so it worked. So I don't know what the heck is.
Can you push it through to BOB?
Maybe I can give
Let's
that
try
a shot.
that. Let's see if that works.
Give that a shot.
Okay. That's not the idea behind it, but nevertheless, it's at least we can put out the content. or Matrix, or the Matrix page.
That's a good idea too.
Mhm. So, I mean, I can, personally, I can think of, a number of different events that, had some profound effect on myself.
Woohoo! So that's it. So we can't. Well, that's stupid that we can't go to group
That's what it is.
for Facebook, anyways.
Me,
But YouTube wouldn't let me go at all. So that we got to
this
figure out too.
meeting is now streaming live on Facebook.
Yeah, it's going to
Yeah.
our Infinity Matrix page, not the group, because there's
Oh,
something going on with this. So
They have a lot of different rules for their groups. A lot of things that we can do on a page, but so you have your groups, and then you have your private groups,
hmm.
and private groups is even harder.
which is
So,
might be a variable here. So all right, well
mhm.
we'll keep it on. If you guys are chiming in on the Infinity Matrix page, you're getting a bonus today. Welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole, because that seems
Really,
to be what we've done.
really, yeah. We'll modify that down the Facebook rabbit hole.
Yeah. All right, so everybody's live and on camera now. So
Yes.
I'm gonna see if I can actually share this to the group though. So you guys go ahead and I'll jump back in.
Okay. So anyhow, I mean, for myself, I think the one of the more uh, I don't want to say traumatic, but definitely a date that will remain in infamy. Back in 2005, I got really, really sick, and it took us a year to kind of figure out what was wrong with me. But that was pretty much a turning point for me, as far as learning about my body, learning about health, learning about how important it is to take care of myself, but also it really showed this kind of in my face how a lot of other people do not take care of themselves in health wise, and but the real big shocker is that so many people don't know how, and that's the part that just really, really was just like, why, I'm telling my doctor, and I had a naturopathic doctor. I'm like, why didn't I know this? Why wouldn't I? And he's like, well, and why don't all these other people know this? And this is after I started feeling better. He goes, people just don't. They're in such a rush, and they're in such a, you have, both parents are working in a family now, and it's, a lot of this is somewhat food based. I mean, a good percentage of it is, and we're in such a hurry that we eat to fill a hole in our stomach, but we're not really eating to grow and to feed our bodies the nutrients that they need to maintain themselves, to heal themselves, to be better, to grow and be even healthier. And that was, gosh, so that was 15, 16 years ago. And to this day, I mean, it's even more prevalent. Or my perception is so different that I just see it more. And sometimes these are just the simplest things that people can do. And I in back in 2005, I what kind of started the whole thing is that I was just really, really tired. I mean, I was sleeping 14 hours a day and still waking up tired, and I was just exhausted. So I go to my Western trained doctor, and she just wanted to give me pills. And I'm like, no, I said, I'm more about finding the root cause. What is causing this? I don't want to cover it up. If I cover it up, then I'm going to ignore it. And I'm going to ignore whatever I'm doing to perpetuate this. And she looked at me like, huh? I don't understand. And I'm like, yeah, I think I've got the wrong doctor. And so I began my search, my quest to find the physician that I could communicate with, and who would take the time to teach me. And so when I finally found this doctor, he was just great. I knew I'd found the right doctor when my very first appointment was 3.5 hours long. And my whole time, I just kept looking at my watch and like, okay. And he just gave me more and more and more and more and more information. But even still, with his knowledge, it took us an incredibly long time to discover the problem. But again, that was an amazing game changer for me. And from that moment on, um, I just was in the pursuit of better health, better nutrition, all the way around, physically, mentally. I got into kind of the world of biohacking, where where it's kind of called the quantitative self, to where you're measuring everything about your body, yourself, so that you can see your progress, or you can see where you're going in the wrong direction, like what's going on. I mean, this was all the way to the point where I was actually sleeping with electrodes on my head. I was monitoring my sleep, and I was seeing exactly what was going on at all my brain waves. And I'm writing a little report on myself every single morning, looking at all this data, and to kind of find out. And that was also where I just became fascinated with sleep, because even though the first symptom of when I was sick was a lot of sleep, I'm like, well, wait a minute. So if sleep is when we heal, and I'm sleeping so much, how come I'm not healing? And then you have to but again, it's just learning. It's understanding, how the body works and what the body needs to fulfill its list of things that it needs to do while you're sleeping. But that was a real big game changer for me. And
Ross, I have a question.
sure,
Seeing that we're down the rabbit hole, we could
sure.
go different directions. What about dreaming? You talked about sleep, the importance of sleep, healing, and all of that.
Mhm.
What's your take on how important? I've read books where they've said that you can do a lot of work, a lot of mental work in
You
dreams.
can. Absolutely. Well, dreaming, there's a lot of more rabbit holes to go down when it comes to dreams. If you ask the scientists, what dreaming is your brain consolidating your memories from the day before. It's part of it. And the brain doesn't actually know words. It only knows images. That's why so when we dream, you are and you see things happening, you're basically seeing all these snapshots of things that are happening. And it's trying to put it together in a way that makes sense to it, not necessarily to your conscious mind. So there's a point where the brain, while you're sleeping, is consolidating all of your memories from the previous day. And if you didn't get the proper REM sleep the day before that, it just kind of everything just starts to back up. So it's got 2 days worth of stuff to do. And what it does is it takes these memories and it goes, okay, this one, this is short term. I'm going to need this. Goes in the short term file. This one, this is long term. I'm not going to need this anymore. That kind of goes in the long term file. And excuse me. So that's dreaming in a nutshell. And then your body has an incredible amount of tasks that it needs to perform while you're sleeping. But that doesn't have to do really so much as with dreaming. And then you have your ability to, where what you were talking about, where a lot of scientists, Einstein, for example, Tesla, for example, would set their subconscious mind to a task while you're sleeping. And that subconscious mind would continue to work on that task. Now, the great thing about sleeping is that there's no distractions. Mm-hmm. We live in a world of distraction after distraction after squirrel. So it can just constantly work on that task. And sometimes the task doesn't get done that night. So you wait, you come into wake, you get through your day, you go back to sleep, and you tell your subconscious mind, I want to do this. I want to continue this process. Um, and sometimes that's why a lot of times you can, you're taking a shower and all of a sudden, boom, the idea just hits you, is because you're in a relaxed state already. All you're focusing on is really just the shower, how good it feels and such, and everything else is, as all those distractions are gone. Showers to me are the most peaceful time of the day. And so I do some short meditations while I'm in a shower. I've just got that nice, warm water. I've got one of those um, uh, rain shower heads, so it's not blasting me with water. It's just raining kind of down on me, which is very nice. It's very, very relaxing. So then, so you can do that. There was a psychologist that I was talking to quite some time ago, probably at least 10 years ago. And we were talking about dreaming. And he goes, you can do a lot of stuff in your dreams. I'm like, yeah. I said, I know that for sure. Or I've done that and experienced it. He goes, well, let me show you another technique. And so he was saying, when you're laying in your bed and you're just kind of looking at the ceiling, imagine there's a feather floating in the air, and you write your task. You write what you want it to be done is on that feather. Okay, whatever you're trying to figure out. And then as you're sleeping, that feather is just coming down and down and down, and you're just focusing on that feather, and then it lands on your forehead, and then it melts into your mind. And then there's a 90% chance that in the morning you'll wake up with the answer to the task that you set in motion when you went to sleep.
So at the end of the day, though, Hector, I think that when we're talking about things like sleep and dreams, to me, it falls into the category of
Hi, Maria.
different states, right? Hey, Maria, welcome aboard. Feel free to join in at any time because it is open discussion, and that can be either audio or text, either one. So with these altered states, which to me is just another hypnotic experience, right? Just because what Ross just described to you is basically a process of going into trance and allowing your unconscious mind to do something. Right. And when you think about what hypnosis is, it's going into an altered state and allowing your unconscious mind to do something. But the doctor didn't say, hey, Ross, go and practice some self-hypnosis, because, there's all the stigma around hypnosis, right? And, and sleep in and of itself, it's taking you through different altered states. And when you're in hypnosis, you dip into these deeper, slower, more focused frequencies that allow you to then direct and focus the mind on getting specific outcomes. So when you hear about people who say that, they before they go to bed, they kind of put it out there, their mind to work on something, and they go to sleep, and then they wake up and they get an answer. Well, that's a long, elongated hypnotic process. That's it.
Right.
So what you do is you use those examples as ways that you can find out what works for you, right? The dreaming aspect of it is something that the brain does, like Ross said, to organize and sort things. There's been research to show that if you interrupt someone just before they enter their dream cycle, and you do that enough, they could start to get into like very, very unbalanced states, right?
Almost a neurosis.
Yeah, right. So it's not very healthy for us to not dream. Everybody dreams. You may not be aware of it when you dream, because you're not, you may be too deep in the state of delta for you to have any conscious awareness of it, but you do dream. And a couple minutes of a dream can seem like, in the dream itself can seem like a lifetime, right? So in that state, we access a realm of possibilities and probabilities that that I think are it's like a gateway to these other realms of vibrational frequencies that we can tap into almost like a radio station, right? It's like we're going all the way down the channel of the radio station. We're going into the AM side of it.
I like FM.
Yeah.
Welcome to KJR, home of the dreaming sensations.
We're going into the serious radio station side of it. Right.
Just give me an idea for the next rabbit hole. What station are you tuned into?
Yeah.
Right. And so, and in that realm, because in that realm of awareness, there's things that are so beyond our conscious mental structures and even language. What we have to do is we have to create metaphors out of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And we create metaphors through imagery. We create metaphors through symbols of people, places, animals, things in that dream to represent something that your brain is working on in the conscious, wide awake alpha, beta alpha state of awareness. Right? So
Gary?
yeah, so it's so when you think about dreams, there's a lot. I mean, dreams is a whole topic that we definitely want to tap into at some point. There's a whole lot of stuff that can happen in dreams, from like we've talked about, where you're doing like a mini workshop to just like unraveling them to kind of see what are the layers of metaphors that you're getting from within that dream. Because you may have a dream of, a mother figure, right? And your mother in the dream, you're having this experience with the mother figure, but it doesn't mean that your brain is processing stuff about your mom, right? It's what the mother symbolizes, or the action that mother in the dream is doing, what that symbolizes to you in your real world, and then how that relates to, the way you function in the waking state. I did it was a training back in 2002, 2001. Yeah, 2002. I did a training in 2002 where it was a weekend training, and it was an advanced, like a really advanced level, hypnosis level type training. And in that, we started to work on some dream stuff, and I started to demonstrate and show how we really all live in this holographic, matrix experience, where you can find connections to things that seemingly are absolutely just no possible way connected to what your experience is. And if you look at it and you understand how to find that, you can find that connection. So what we did was we did
Morning.
we did this process. I'm just looking for if I have it in this library, but I don't think I do. I have this deck of cards that I bought way back in like 96, 95, when I was doing NLP training stuff. And it's called the O deck. And the O deck is just a deck of like 100 or so cards. And they've just got different images on them. And really what you do is you just kind of use them almost like a tarot-ish type thing. But they're used to kind of get, find out what your association to is from what you see. So you look at the image and you say, okay, well, what that means to me is when I see it. So almost like word association type stuff. So what we did was we had the group, and in sections of, I believe we had, it was either 10 or 12 per circle. And what we did was I would have the cards in the center of the circle, and the cards, the deck of cards would go around to each person. They would shuffle the card. And this is something we would do in a live event, like when Ross and I would do, this is you do in a live event. You'd hand the card, everyone grabs, just shuffles, then takes a card and then places it in the middle. So we would kind of place, so one card would be here, another person could put it around here, another one could put it on that side or this side. So you could kind of do these pathways, right? But what you would do is you put it down, whatever the card is, and you'd say, oh, well, here's what this represents. And you'd put that down, right? And,
Hi.
and then the
Good
next person
morning.
would come in
Good morning.
card and kind
It's
of
nice
and
to.
say, this is
It's
what this
okay. It's okay. Calm down. Calm down.
Right?
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, honey. It's okay.
There we go. And so we would do this process where they would go through the whole cycle, and they'd have all these streams of strings of these cards going out this way, this way, this way, where everybody had a different meaning for their card. And we said, okay, great, got that. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to pick one of the pathways. So you can start on this end, or you can start over here. You can start in the center. You can start anywhere. Start anywhere on that whole pattern. And what we would do is we would take that, and let's say Ross was one of the participants. I would say, okay, Ross, now, even though there's 12 different people that put these down with what they thought it meant, what does this card mean to you? Mm-hmm. Right? And then Ross would say that, okay, so now, what does this card mean to you in relationship to your finances? And he'd go, boom. And then, okay, so now what would this card relate to you in relationship to your, and we kind of go the stream in which each card would build a story, right? Well, this means this, and this means this, and this means this. So it'd be like this story, right? This pathway that we'd take, and you could go any direction. And we found that every single person there could take the exact same set of cards, and the exact same set of cards would send a message to every person differently. Right.
Yeah.
And it was the same set of cards that were laid out. Right. Mm-hmm. Then we said, okay, so now let's wipe the cards out there, because that's kind of our conscious mind kind of putting these symbols out there. What about your unconscious mind symbology? And then what we would do is the exercise after that, then same group, right? We'd say, okay, now what I want you, anybody here who has a reoccurring dream, right? Tell us what that is. And so we get these, reoccurring or even most recently recalled dream. It was either or. And what we did was we would take the symbology from that dream and put down on paper. Okay, so that meant this, that meant this, that meant this. And we could pick anybody in the crowd, and that dream would have a meaning for them. It was so wild. It's a level of connection that's so untapped that it's ridiculous. I mean, when you can have in a group of 10 or 12 people, and one dream can have a different meaning for each. When you take the symbology pieces out of there, right? Because mother is mother, but it means something to different to everybody, right? Car is car, but it means something to different to everybody, and even different stages of your life, it's going to mean different things.
But Gary, it would be specialized for that person, right? If it's specialized, meaning not that it's wrong, it's just specialized for his life experiences or whatever.
Yeah, it becomes very again, it's the holographic experience, right? It's the lessons and the learnings all show up in this one thing that kind of ripples out to the whole matrix, where everybody can get what they need out of it. Right.
And I think even in our talks, you may say something, or I may bring out something, and everyone's got a little bit of a different take on it, right? Everyone will say, well, exactly. I have one, can I put this to the test? I have written it down. I had a dream a couple of weeks ago. I called it cut and heal. All right. So what happened is that I see my son-in-law in my dream, and he's got a razor blade. And what he's doing is that very lightly, he cuts his forearm. Mm-hmm. Very lightly, and then he pours a little water on it, and it heals, cut and heal. And then he passes it on to me. And we were doing that. We were cutting, and then we'd heal. We poured the water on it. And it was like a game of some sort. It was cut and heal until he gave it to me again, maybe for the third time, and I said, no, I don't want to do this no more. All right. So to me, I came out with that we don't have to suffer in life. I mean, that was like my interpretation, that we don't have to go through it, that we're so used to something going wrong, and then you have to heal it. Well,
Mhm.
there's
Right.
always that hurt, and then you heal. I'm stuck in a pattern. I didn't want to be in that pattern anymore. That's what it meant to me.
Got it.
But it would probably have a different meaning to you, right, Gare, or to you, Ross?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's going to be some similarities. I mean, there's going to be, because there's some metaphors that that are going to be more. I don't want to say globally, but they're gonna have a larger influence on people, because there's a similarity of, yeah, you could say the cut and the heal cycle, and you heal. There's going to be a population amount of the population that are going to resonate with that quite a bit, right?
Mhm.
But if you look at it, you can take that same thing though, and you can say, okay, what is the unconscious mind trying to tell you?
Right.
And you can say, okay, well, if the unconscious mind trying to tell me, we look at the metaphors within that. Number one, the title. It's interesting that you title it. So that you've titled the dream, and you've given it this identity of it's a cut and heal dream, right? So that has some things in there. The other things you want to look at, okay, what are the players in there? So there's your son-in-law. Well, son-in-law can represent relationships in general, right? It can say, okay, so in your relationships, where are you, and then okay, so that's one metaphor. We look at, okay, what are the different type of relationships that this dream is trying to tell you about? And you start to think of, okay, relationship with my mom, relationship with my wife, relationship with my daughter, relationship with my grandkids, relationship with whatever. Then you take that and you say, okay, now that I have a one particular area, then let's take the rest of those metaphors and see how that relates there. Right? Let's look at, okay, there's cuts, but there's also arms. So it's on the arm specific, right? So we say, okay, now what does a metaphor of the arm mean? Okay, maybe it's embracing, maybe it's so there's so many different things you can go with this. And then you can take that same metaphor and those things and say, okay, now that I got the message that my unconscious mind is telling me in relationship to my daughter, I'm going to take those same metaphors. What's the relationship to my clients, or my boss, or my friend? And you take the same metaphors and you get a different type of message, because it's going to relate to them differently.
You're so smart, Gare.
Thanks.
So Hector, getting back to that, so was your original question, were you discussing anything about or thinking anything about like lucid dreaming?
Oh yeah,
When you first asked that
yeah.
question?
When I first, exactly right. And there was a book, and I forget, by some guy in Mexico, that was very into lucid dreaming,
Mm-hmm.
and doing work, any kind of thinking. He would do it in his dream, and somehow it was that you can do 20 times the thinking or the process of coming up with solutions in your dreams than you can in your awake stage.
Right. So my interpretation of lucid dreaming is where you are pseudo conscious during your dream. You can interact with your dream. You're there and you're viewing it and you're going, I know I'm in a dream, and you are consciously interacting with that dream. I've done some lucid dreaming. I don't particularly care for it, but at the same time, I could have been doing it wrong. But the Gary might know a little bit more on it. But for me, I just kept waking up more tired. I'm just like, I felt like I just wasn't getting rested while when I did lucid dreaming. As I said, though, that was a while ago. And Gary, do you do a lot with lucid?
I do lucid dreaming. I've done it for years and years. So there is that initial stage where you're getting used to the idea that you can be sleeping and dreaming and aware all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that can be exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually in the beginning stages where you're just getting used to this kind of bizarre experience where you know you're dreaming, and so there are different stages of it. One is you get to the point where, oh my God, I'm in a dream. Okay, I'm in a dream. then you go, oh, and then you lose it, and then you go right into you have these moments, right? That's the initial stage, right? Then the next stage is, okay, you can hold it for longer periods of time. Okay, I'm in a dream. Okay, now I know I'm in a dream. What can I do here? And then you start thinking, well, what if I wanted to fly? And all of a sudden you're flying. I'm like, oh my God, okay. And that'll last for a little bit, but so so there's some activity going on. So yeah, you're not in the totally sleep state, rested state in that way, because there's activity going on, right?
Right.
Um, and then what you do is you get comfortable with that after practice. You get comfortable in, oh, okay, this is not bizarre. It's not strange. I don't have to be in this. I know I'm in a dream, and when I was younger, I used to get, I had 3 or 4 different reoccurring dreams that were, there was danger going on of some kind, right? And so that was one of the reasons I kind of start to look into lucid dreaming. Okay, well, how can I change and alter that so that the outcome becomes what I prefer, instead of what scared me and woke me up in this experience, right? And so the practice of getting used to that state was, again, like anything else. It's like, there's the novelty of it, and then you get used to it, and then it becomes the norm, and then you can start to play and enjoy and master it, and have all the you have a time of, because remember, your dream states aren't that very long in time wise, right? So if you think that you're not sleeping for the other 7.5 hours, if you're sleeping, then it's not accurate. It just feels like that half hour throughout the whole 8 hours was busy, right? And so what you do is you then get to a state where you realize that, okay, well, this is just a fraction of the time frame, and then making sure that when you go into sleep, you're going into the delta deep rested sleep more systematically and faster, so you don't have to take as long. And that's where hypnosis came into play a lot. I mean, the reason I did a lot, because again, it was a natural transition from researching hypnosis, and there's, in hypnosis, we say, when we're teaching our hypnosis students, we would say, half an hour in hypnosis is equivalent, after practicing over and over, can become equivalent to 3 to 4 hours of sleep. So for me, when I was doing lucid dreaming, what I would do is, okay, well, let me start with going into hypnosis, and then do my lucid dreaming, because the first half hour, me just going into hypnosis and slipping into that state, my body would already feel like it got 3 to 4 hours of sleep. Then I could do all this whole stuff and wake up fully refreshed and alert. And it's also part of the programming. So that would be part of the suggestions I would give myself when I go into self-hypnosis and all these other things. So yeah, so I mean, lucid dreaming it's a fun topic. It's a practice, right? It's not easy for everyone to be able to get that experience, because there's belief systems around it, there's fears around it, like, oh my God, I actually have control of the dream, and can snap you out of it. So it does take practice, and you can have some really cool, fun experiences with it. Very vivid. I mean, when I lucid, I'm super vivid with what's going on, like I can feel the air.
Right.
That it's very.
I wanted to ask you, is it a little bit like an ayahuasca experience?
Totally, yeah.
Because
yeah,
I knew in ayahuasca, I knew what was going on, and I knew that I wasn't in Kansas anymore. But yet, nevertheless.
Yeah, it is, and it's like that without the restrictions of the laws of reality agreements that we all have. Okay, right? Meaning that I could shift who I was, I could shift shape, I could shift the locations like that, I could fly, I could float, I could I used to have this one really fun experience because I love running, right? So running's a fun thing for me to do. It's a really cool state that I get into when I run. And in my lucid dreams, one of the things I used to do is when I would, in my lucid dream, I'd play with running, where my strides would be like in normal life, this is my stride, right? In this world, right? In my lucid dreams, it'd be like,
Whoa.
I used to love that coasting feeling. It was just like I'm coasting. And I would see in my lucid dream, I would see how far I could stretch that, in the sidewalks, right? You have your squares, right? They're squared off, right? And so in my lucid dreams, I'd say, okay, I'm going to 3 squares. Boom, and then 4 squares, boom. And then when I actually go out and run, I get into the state where I'm actually, I mean, I can't do 3, 4, obviously, because I'm, 5 foot nothing, 5'2", so I can't do that. But I'm feeling that flow state when I'm running, and duplicating that in the real world without the actual, defying laws of gravity type thing. So that's the difference, is that you don't play by the same rules of reality in dreams as you do when you're in ayahuasca. You're aware of the rules of reality that can be broken, but you physically are still in this place with these people doing this event.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think I spoke, oh gosh, a few live streams back, where I have once a month I have a board meeting while I'm dreaming. So I have 10 people who I really admire. Okay, alive or dead, doesn't matter. And I'll have a board meeting, and they'll be in front of me. I'll bring them all in, and I'll sit and I'll just simply ask them questions. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. This is what I'm, and such. How can I do this? What's a better way for me to move? This is where you really learn how to ask really good questions. And so that's one thing you can do.
Yeah, and that's one of the processes, Hector, that it's an advanced level of the
Right.
Infinity Matrix program.
Yeah.
And it's where you create what we call the Knights of the Round Table. Right. And what you do is, like Ross says, you accumulate this council, and for me it's 12, and I'm the 13th one in the middle of the table. So I've got 12 that surround me, and I'm the middle one in the table, and all their energies feed into me as I feed back out. So and it's a really cool process where, again, you're just tapping into another altered state and working with the metaphors that work for you, right?
Yeah. Another thing you can do while you're sleeping is you can do what's called subjective influence. And that takes a lot of practice. And I don't just throw that out to just anybody. That's because I've really messed myself up when I was first doing that. But that's where while you're sleeping, or while you're going to sleep, you're going through you're telling your subconscious mind, this is what I want to do. I want to connect my mind with that person's mind, the person that I want to influence. I want to connect, I want to connect, I want to connect, I want to connect, and then you go to sleep. Okay. But you're also instructing your mind to wake you up when you make that connection, because you're in an altered state, they're in an altered state in most cases. Okay. And then I kind of figured, like, this is me and this is them and such, and this is kind of what's happening. And at some point in the night, there's a connection. And then your mind wakes you up. You literally come to consciousness. So that means that they're primed and you're primed. And then you stay awake. And then you go through a process to where you, again, reconnect with them, and you have a conversation.
Okay, Ross. Yeah, I got to say, you're very smart too. All right, I giving credit to Gary. Oh my
Gary,
God!
when it comes to this stuff, Gary is the master. So, but then what you do is you're having that conversation with them, and where this becomes an influence is that now this all has to be timed to where something in their life. Hopefully, you've either sent them an email, or you're going to have a conversation with them. You're going to connect with them the next day. Okay. And then they're going to subconsciously connect that that dream state event with the live state event. And then you have just they're going to become more comfortable with you. Like, oh yeah, you know, I think I was kind of thinking about that at one particular time. And it's amazing. It really is. Now the drawback on this particular one is that there's some really broken people out there. And they can, sometimes this can kind of feed back on itself. And all of a sudden they influenced you more than you thought. So, and that's happened to me. I remember one time I was trying to help a client, and I thought, okay, let me try to do this. Let me see if I can get past these barriers. And I did, but she was more disturbed than I thought. And all of a sudden I could not, from that day on, for about 4 days, I could not get out of this weird funk, almost a state of depression. And I'm just like, whoa. So it took me a little bit of work to get back out of that. And it was all based on that person. I'm just like, because that was just too much of a coincidence. So it has, I mean, and that doesn't happen anymore because I've kind of put a lot of things in place and I've become mentally stronger. And I wasn't into this long enough. And I just thought, oh, I can do this with anybody. And I'm just like, oh, I know, I wasn't. I had to build up defenses so that I can kind of, you know, make sure that I'm staying here. And like, there's a wall, like a glass wall between us to a certain degree. So there's all kinds of things that we can do while we're sleeping, productive things. And it is absolutely amazing. Whether it be working out problems, you know, our Knights of the Round Table, you know, the subjective influence, your lucid dreaming. I mean, there's all kinds of things and such that we can do.
Love it.
Yeah. When I wake up from a dream, so you'll generally you dream a few times in the evening. And when you remember it is when you've woken up right during the dream or at the end of the dream. That's when it's consciously in your mind, and it will fade. A lot of inventors always had a notepad right next to their bed, and if they woke up, they knew that was going to fade quickly. They would write everything down. They would just get it down, or talk into a tape recorder. And such.
Dream journals are amazing to do.
Yes.
I used to do them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Probably get back into doing some more of them, but I mean, I can go back to journals that I've done 10, 20, 30 years ago, and like there's some gems in those things, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So your subconscious mind's always working. The idea is to be able to learn how to direct it and get it going on one particular topic or task, and let it work while you're sleeping. You know, sleep is mostly, so I mean, they don't know why we sleep. They really don't know. Scientists don't understand sleep yet. It gets better and better. But there are a lot of processes 188 processes that the body goes through while it's sleeping. These are just physical processes that is trying to get accomplished. And that's why sleep is so important, and continued sleep throughout the night, because if it's on process number 106 and then something disturbs the sleep, okay, the physical sleep, and then you wake up, then your body, when you go back to sleep, your body has to start over again. It just has this cycle. And so, yeah, it's really important. But at the same time, it's very productive because, you know, again, sleep is right now more of a physical aspect. And when you can have your subconscious mind working that extra 6 or 8 hours a day, you know, working out these things, it's very phenomenal.
Yeah,
it really is. But start a dream journal.
No, you know, I like you, Gare, for years have been writing journals. I would get up and I would say, no, I'm going to forget this. I'm going to forget this dream, and I would have to write it down. The bad thing is that I did try to keep paper and a tape recorder, and it just disrupted my sleep so much. Because you're constantly waking up, writing down, or so now if I feel it's really important, I walk over to the desk, and then from there in the morning I could journal the whole idea, because I remember the little, just like when I take notes with you guys here,
Yeah.
I know that I could go back and formulate something really good.
The best one of the better solutions for what you just described is again probably using a recorder, so you can just talk into it or whisper into it. When you wake from a dream, you're trying to remember it. The worst thing the thing that you could do is to turn on a light so you can write something down. Okay, because remember, our bodies, as they are today, okay, is only a couple 100,000 years worth of evolution. So the body really doesn't know what a light bulb is. So when you turn on that light, different chemical reactions will start in your body, because it's going, oh, the sun's up. Okay, instantly serotonin and cortisol will start to spike a little bit, because the body goes, okay, I need to start a chemical. Sleeping is just chemical. It's just a chemical reaction physically. It's just a chemical reaction. And that chemical reaction is 99% triggered by light.
Wow.
When the light goes away, okay, the sun has set, or a particular color of light, a certain chemical reaction starts. The body goes, okay, it's orange now. There's orange light. That means the sun is setting. I'm going to start gearing down. Okay, I'm gonna decrease this particular chemical. I'm going to increase this particular chemical. So when you're in the middle of the night and you turn on the light, okay, or look at your phone and such, this chemical process reverses.
Yeah.
It's all about the light. Remember, your eyes are not a separate organ. They are simply a sensory nerve that goes directly into your brain. That's all your eyes are. They're part of the brain. They're a sensory nerve ending, to be honest. And so, and their job is to do just that. They control the input of light into the brain, to tell the brain what time of day it is.
Yeah,
To
so even though your
maintain your circadian
eyelids are
rhythms.
closed, it doesn't mean your eyes have stopped working, right? They're on 24/7,
Correct.
right?
Same with your ears.
Yeah. Less processing with your ears, though, for sure, but definitely
Correct.
your eyes are going to have. So, and that's, it's important that, and we're in the sleep topic, but it's important that when you go to bed, to be in dark, to put yourself in a sensory deprivation experience. That's how you're going to rest the most. And if you can, a good way to kind of get the like a full-blown experience of that is to do a sensory deprivation tank.
Oh, they're awesome.
It's so that you can, pretty much every major city in North America will have them. And it's they're called float tanks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you go in there, and what you do is, for an hour to an hour and a half, they lock you in this, well, you didn't lock you. You actually, you choose to go in. I'm making it sound like
what?
You end up in the desert. No, it's so yeah, you go in, and you enter into this pod, if you will, for lack of better wording. And in pod, it's got salt, like tons and tons of salt water, so you're fully buoyant, right? And you go in there and you lay down, and and you close the door, and there's no light, no sound. It's just you in the water for that time, and you really get to tune into what you get to notice. The busyness of this is the first thing you get to notice, and what, all the stuff that's really going on in there. And then you when you settle into that, allow that to be this peaceful, tranquil, almost out of world experience. It's really, really cool. You know, and prior to COVID, you know, we did, my wife and I both did the float tanks quite frequently. So be good when things open up and we can get.
Now imagine you're in this pitch black, and you're floating. So basically, there's all of your sensory senses are simply not working. There's nothing for them
the water's body temperature, the air's body temperature. So it's hard to even tell the difference between your water and your skin, because it's just like it's you.
So now you're in this pitch black, and then after about half hour, 45 minutes, you start seeing lights. I mean, it's you know, and then you can get into some real amazing states. They're back in the 80s, I think there was a movie called Altered States. Did you ever see that? With oh gosh, William Hurt.
Sounds familiar. I have to.
So he was a science student in this university, and they were doing deprivation studies. And but then he was it's been a while, but he was, now that I'm thinking about it, he was probably going into the tank, and he was using some sort of plant medicine. And then he was having these altered states.
That'd be a trick.
But and I'm not going to say anymore, but it was a really good movie. It was done so well, you know, because even then, because the altered states actually continued after he was out of the tanks, and he was
which is very ayahuasca-ish.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So now that I just thought about that, I'm like, yeah, that's probably what he was taking. But I strongly recommend it. It kind of was one of the first things that kind of got me interested, you know, of, you know, looking more into different states of minds.
1980. Wow. Okay, I'll have to pull that one up.
I think it was like I think it was one of his first movies.
Yeah.
Excellent movie though. Excellent.
Definitely.
But so I mean, sensory deprivation tanks have been around for a long time. They've just become very popular now.
Yeah.
You know, where you can walk in and there's
10 and now it's not now it's not, I mean, it's kind of sad, but it's hey, sensory deprivation, and if you want, we'll play some music in the, well, hold on, no, this is sensory deprivation. It's like, no, I want silence, don't give me music.
You know, I had somebody who was talking, says, can I bring my book? I'm like, no.
There's no sensory deprivation. So yeah, so but the reason they've done that is because it scares the crap out of people, right? To be with themselves, right? And so if you have music, it kind of gives you a sense, it kind of gives you an anchor to the real world when you're in there. And so that's why they do it. So I get it, but you know, ultimately it kind of defeats the purpose. It now becomes a monetized experience as opposed to a real sensory deprivation experience.
How long are you in the tanks?
Anywhere between an hour and a half. Usually they'll sell them in hour and a half batches. But I think you can do as long as longest I've done is an hour and a half. I'm pretty sure you can do longer if you want to.
I bet you could.
Yeah, you know, I'm pretty sure you can. I mean,
and there's people that have these in their homes too.
Oh yeah.
They set up a room in their home, and that's, you know, they have a, you know.
Yeah, my wife and I have seriously thought about opening up a business of that, just because it's so powerful. It's such a cool experience for people to get and to really access themselves. But yeah, so it might be an adventure we partake when we retire.
Yeah.
Learned a
lot of
today.
salt. I think the most expensive part of them is the salt.
Yeah,
because you're putting hundreds of pounds of salt,
like 1,000 pounds of salt every time.
Yeah, something like that. And obviously you have to change it out rather frequently, but yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, there we have the rabbit hole today.
I loved it, guys. I learned so much.
That's great.
Good topics.
Yeah. Hey, Maria, if you want to jump in before we chime off and kind of share anything or talk about anything, be happy to hear you while you've been here for
Mhm.
this time. I did have to mute you because there was some background sound, so you'll have to unmute yourself if you want to jump in. And we'd love to hear from you if you can. If not, that's fine too. So yeah, well, I mean, I don't know what's going on with this Facebook thing or this streaming thing. I'll have to put a message out to Zoom to figure out if they've got some solution to this. But we got it out. We got it on the page, and I did share it to the group. So
Ross, I'm going to start my my board meeting people, and a lot of them are dead. So that's so cool, man. You know, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was pretty remarkable when I learned that. And I said the same, like, they're dead though, right? You know, not all of them.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just like, okay.
That's a great idea.
You know, I mean, if you really look into you know, what the knowledge of the world is, the knowledge of the universe, it's all out there already. We're just, you know, showing you different ways to tap into it. Yeah, and tapping into it while you're sleeping is,
and it's all in here.
And it's all there.
The matrix, right?
You know, we consider ourselves a transceiver. We transmit and we receive. Mm-hmm. And so it's out there, and we just have to have the techniques. Well, I mean, partly it's the techniques. It's really what we've said before. It's like, you know, you don't know what you don't know. You know, you don't know that you can do that. You don't know that information is out there. It's like everybody's like, oh, I got to go to Google. Well, no, you don't want to go to Google at 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Personally, I'm not real fond of Google, but only because it's been kind of bastardized. It's like it's so hard to find pure information. Yeah. And so that's, you really got to sift. But regardless, though, the information is there. It's in the air. It's in the ground. It's in, you know, it's everywhere, and you can tap into it when you start learning some of these techniques every single night if you want to.
And Maria says, what a pressure. Thank you for sharing. I'm a beginner, so I'm just learning about it. Hey, Maria, there's no pressure at all, honey.
No pressure.
It's really just about a conversation. We're not expecting anything other than if you have a question or if you want to share something. It's really an open platform in that way. This isn't really intended as a teaching per se. It's just us having conversations and jamming about a variety of different topics. And even if there's a topic that we're not talking about that you want us to jump in on, then, you know, you can kind of come in and, you know, kind of like Hector did, because we were talking about something else and then he thought this, and it just opened up something new. So it's okay. I know I was joking. Okay, good. All right, good. Glad we didn't want to put any pressure on you. Good. And she goes by Maya Papaya. Okay, great. Okay. So yeah, so that's the chat for today. We will be on again next Friday, 9 a.m. and we'll see if we can kind of get some more people on for more conversations. Great to have you, Hector.
And you know, this is open to anybody and everybody, whether they're on the group page, any of our other pages. I mean, I put this out to our Twitter account, which is not people who are part of any of this. So, and that's what we want to do, is we want to get some more open discussions going. So invite your friends, tell them, hey, you know, if you understand something or want to try to understand or put it out there, or get some questions, and without any judgment, you know, it's just like, yeah, tell them, come on, jump on. It's awesome. Or watch the recordings and you know, and see if there's something there that kind of triggers them. But this is just fun for us. We just like it.
Yeah, I enjoy it so much too. You know, one of my favorite things to look forward to.
That's awesome.
You can tell.
All right. Well, we will sign off for today, and then we will connect with you all next either Thursday or Friday or both.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
All right. Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye-bye.